everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today's artwork is actually starting off in Procreate for the line art and the sketching phase, and for this artwork I kind of wanted to draw a little cottage in a sort of, I don't know, mushroomy, toadstooly world, I guess. The mushrooms and stuff, I didn't really use many references. I kind of just winged it. I kind of wanted to give it a bit of a fantasy feel to it. So obviously not these little plants here aren't all real. I kind of just made them from my imagination, I guess. Now with this cottage, I wanted it to be a little bit more detailed. I didn't want it to just be like, you know, square. So obviously I had a little part coming out so that the cottage has a little bit more shape. And yeah, it was just fun drawing in all the little bricks and all the little tiles on the roof and stuff. And yeah, I decided to give it a few different plants that were actually real, just to give it, I don't know, a little bit more variety, because I didn't want all of the plants in this artwork to be mushroomy. I decided to give it a little bit of a sunflower towards the back, and then a flower bud in a little pot at the front, and also a big aloe vera plant behind the cottage. And yeah, I actually really like those. I think it's cute and it gives it a little bit more variety. Now this artwork is a little bit more detailed than I usually do, and that's mainly because I've wanted to start drawing more intricate, sort of detailed artworks. This was what was going through my head at the time anyways, and yeah, I just had a lot of fun drawing in all the little details, like the little mushrooms on the ground, the little fence at the bottom, which I actually really like, and also the mushrooms in the foreground as well, in front of the plant, as well as the ones far back into the distance as well. With this artwork, I kind of wanted to give a little bit of a sense of depth, so you'll find that the ones at the front have a lot more detail than the ones in the far background. Now for this artwork, final touch for the line art, I wanted to give it coloured line art just to give it a bit of a softer feel, and yeah, no, I really like coloured line art at the moment. Oh, and I also want to mention that I actually used the pencil brushes in Procreate to ink this, and I mainly like that because it gives it a bit more of a natural look. Now for the colouring part, I started off with my cool grey markers, and I just went in with the stalks, the mushroom parts, and I used mainly cool greys for that, with a little bit of colour splendor at the start, just to give them a little bit more texture, and yeah. After that I went in with my earth tones, just to start off the artwork, because in this artwork I wanted a lot of earth tones but also a lot of purple tones to it as well, and that's why I actually decided to do a layer underneath the tiles with purple, just to put in the foundation for the shading, and then obviously go over that with my earth tone colours. For the bricks on the cottage, I actually decided to use a mix of different colours, mainly soft desaturated colours like warm greys, a very desaturated purple tone, some earth tones, and also a desaturated yellow colour which is called buttercup yellow. And yeah, I don't know, I really liked the look that the cottage had. After that, I decided to go in with some more detail on the very large mushroomy structure thing, because to be honest, the way I coloured it before that, it kind of looked like a cyclone and I didn't realise, so yeah, I just gave it a little bit more texture, some more patterns, I guess, yeah. And then after that, I finally went in with the grass. Now for this artwork, I wanted it to feel like it was part of a different world, either a different planet or a different dimension. I don't know, I kind of just wanted to give it a mystical fantasy kind of vibe, and that's why I decided to give the grass a more of a bluey green teal look instead of a grassy green color. And yeah, no, I actually really like that because the colors in this artwork are very different compared to real life. So I wanted them to look a lot different, and I wanted the artwork to have a different feel, kind of like surreal, I guess. Now for the grass in the background, I actually decided to use a cool shadow marker, which is a very much lighter version of the color in the front. And that's mainly also to give it a bit more depth as well, because I wanted that to look like it was pushed back into the distance. And yeah, so this cottage, I actually was thinking about the concept for it, and basically I came across the idea of having it like a fairy's cottage. So I did want it to look like as if it was very, very small compared to our world, and that's why you can see that giant pot plant in the front with the flower in it, and also the aloe vera is huge and all the mushrooms are giant. And yeah, that's mainly to show off the scale of this piece. Now after that, I decided I wanted the sky to be pink because, like I said before, this is a different world. So yeah, I decided on a pink sky, and because of that, I actually decided to go over a lot of the artwork as well. And that's mainly because, I don't know, I had a feeling like there was a little bit too much variation in all the colors over this artwork, and it was starting to get a little bit too much for me. So I don't know, I felt like the color palette was a bit too crazy, and that's why I decided to go over the whole thing with some pink pencils and basically just shade very carefully over the most of the artwork. And yeah, I don't know, just unify it a little bit. So I gave most of everything in this artwork pink tones in the shadows, and that actually made it look a lot better. Another thing which didn't really go to plan in this artwork was the curtains on the cottage. They looked very dark, and I don't know, they just gave me a weird feel. I didn't like the dark windows. I felt like they just stood out too much, and I just didn't really like it. So I actually decided to go over that with some acrylic paint and just mess around with the colors a little bit. I actually decided to repaint the window frames blue because I realized that the only blue in the whole artwork was the door, and I wanted something else to match so that it didn't look so out of place. And yeah, that actually worked very well. And yeah, this artwork actually turned out really nicely. I had some ill feelings towards it through the middle of the artwork just because, like I said before, things weren't going the way I expected and planned. However, I'm glad how it turned out in the end. I think that the pink in the shadows actually made it really nice, and I also added a lot of pencil in the grass to give it more of a texture. And yeah, it turned out pretty cute, I think. It's very fantasy-like, and I guess that's what I was planning for. So here's the final artwork, and I have to say I'm pretty happy with it. I know it's not my finest work, however I do like all of the little details, and the colours are pretty interesting and unique. So yeah, if you like this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Also check out my Redbubble shop and my Instagram and all that kind of stuff. I will leave a link in the description. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, which I'm pretty excited about. Actually, I decided to draw another dragon. And yeah, so yeah, see you in my next video, guys. Bye!